When FBI agents conduct investigations against alleged mobsters, suspected terrorists, other criminals, do you believe that they're engaging in spying when they're following FBI investigative policies and procedures?
Well, that's not the term I would use.
Thank you. So I would say that's a no to that question.
Well, I mean, look, there are lots of people have different colloquial phrases. I believe that the FBI is engaged in investigative activity, and part of investigative activity includes surveillance activity of different shapes and sizes.
Now, that was FBI Director Christopher Wray answering questions before a congressional committee. Now, he was saying he doesn't think that it's considered, well, to him anyways, spying when the FBI surveils people. He said surveillance is part of most investigations, and it's needed to conduct those investigations. Now, this all comes after Attorney General William Barr said he was investigating whether or not there was spying done against the Trump campaign. But let's be realistic here. We all know the difference between legitimate surveillance and what was done to the Trump campaign. I use surveillance in law enforcement. It's necessary. But that wasn't what was done to Trump, and I believe Christopher Wray knew that. But for more on this, let's bring in our good friend, Jessie Jane Duff, Senior Fellow at the London Center for Policy Research and a 20-year Marine Corps veteran. Jessie, great to see you.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
You got it. So what I was very upset with Christopher Wray, because Christopher Wray knew very clearly what he was being asked. Now, of course, if the FBI is going after La Cosa Nostra or the Colombian drug dealers or the cartels or money laundering operations, that's legitimate surveillance. It's done with transparency inside the Bureau. There are agents working on it. It's not done among a little cabal on the 7th floor of the Hoover Building with text messages between two people who are having an illicit affair meeting in quote-unquote Andy's office. Wray knew exactly what the question was about, and I believe his answer is proof that he has no interest in cleaning up the FBI. What do you say, Jessie?
Oh, I agree with you 100%, John. Here's what we do know. We know that there was no collusion with Russia. We also know several other aspects. That the surveillance that was going on with the Trump Hotel was illegal. That the NSA director himself put a stop to that because they were illegally going through the NSA database and putting surveillance on everybody that had not been authorized by any FISA warrant. Here's the second thing we know. We know that the dossier that was false, a fantasy, a fiction novel,
right,
was presented. So now, Plan B, they could now do legitimate warrants against people to provide surveillance against them. Now, here's the trick. Once you get a warrant against one person, you can do 2 steps off, meaning I email you, now they can surveil you.
Oh,
you
it's
email
dominoes,
somebody
right?
else,
Yeah.
they can surveil them.
Yeah, it's dominoes. It all starts falling down.
So now,
yep.
1, 2, all they need is 1, 2, 3 warrants, and they've got the entire Trump campaign being surveilled. Okay, so let's use a nicer word. It wasn't spying. It was snooping. It was illegal snooping. This was not an authorized investigation simply because it was based upon a false merit. This is not authorized legally. And I'm sorry, the FBI director, I had high hopes for him, replacing Comey, but I'm telling you, these folks need to stop covering up this spill on aisle 9 because we've all seen it. And we know Mueller.
Well, I want to go to Mueller. Jesse, I want to go to something about Mueller, which is very troubling. But real quick, 30 seconds. Do you think Barack Obama knew and directed the investigation into the Trump campaign?
I can't say that he would have directed it, but I'm quite confident, just as my instincts tell me, that he was aware of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I do think, personally, my opinion, I could be wrong, I think he was in the loop and he gave winks and nods and here and there a little direction.
His fingerprints aren't on it, but go ahead.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Here's an interesting report I want to discuss with you because this one has me very concerned. So Real Clear Investigations, which has been doing very good work, they're reporting that Robert Mueller's team, special counsel's team, paid more than $730,000, nearly $750,000 taxpayer bucks, to outside contractors to do investigative reports, private investigation. And he won't say who they were. The special counsel's office will not say if Christopher Steele and Fusion GPS were among those paid part of that $750,000. This is incredibly concerning, and I believe DOJ needs to investigate this thoroughly.
I think that they also not just have the investigation. I think the president needs to declassify the
Yes.
entire thing so that it's out there. That will hold the DOJ. That will hold the DOJ investigator also accountable. I don't expect that he would ever deceive or be malicious, because David Horowitz has been pretty clear about a lot of his findings. But if it is declassified, I mean, look, we already put the Mueller report out there and it was declassified. And I'm sorry, Mueller knew that there was no collusion when he went into this.
Yes.
And he left this little nugget at the end of the investigation like, well, we can't really prove there was an obstruction. But he didn't want to go out and say there was, because it would have never held up in court. And his entire legacy would have been destroyed off of that. And
It
now
would
he's
have
got
been.
Democrats in a frenzy. He
Yeah.
is tied to this himself.
You know, and by the way, just a quick correction. You said David Horowitz. It's Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay. But I have David
I am
Horowitz.
sorry.
David Horowitz is
Thank
going to be
you.
on with me next. So that was a great coincidence. But real quick, Jesse, I
Great
think
prop.
I think you're right about this. I don't think Horowitz would proactively do anything wrong. I just think he had some very weak bosses at DOJ before Bill Barr. I think he's a lot more empowered now. We'll find some things out.
Exactly.
All right, Jesse, what do you think? When do you think we start seeing info come from the Inspector General? Last 30 seconds to you.
I think we're going to see it quite quickly in the next few months. Simply put, William Barr wants this put behind him because obviously the Democrats are assassinating his name. Character assassination
Yep.
is nothing that anybody of his prestige deserves, and I think it's going to move quite quickly now.
All right, Jessie Jane Duff, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks.
Bye, John.